seat you don't want to see. I put that on everything. I will be repping this out to the day that I die. I put that.
Welcome, everybody, to the In Off the Bench podcast. My name is Jim Cross. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, my best friend, my partner in crime, Daniel Ball. Daniel, we are taking it back, man. I realized how long we've been doing this. I went to look for original clips. 2020, man, we had Cameron Crump on. We're in 2025. 5 years later, he's still killing it. I think we're killing it, but couldn't be more stoked to catch up with him because, as you see, he's wearing the USA across his chest. As much as I love seeing Mississippi State, nothing better than the red, white, and blue. But I do got to do a Mississippi State shout-out. Instead of plugging our normal sponsors, Daniel, Chinook's Eatery, Jesus One, Old Dominic, I want to go back to the original sponsor, the first one that ever got on board with us, the Bell Smith. He's still doing his thing. I got different ones, Daniel, to show people. We got the maroon and white. We got the black. We got the OG traditional. You can still go see the Bell Smith. You can go to Maroon and Company. They got them all, Daniel. It doesn't matter the sport. The NIL has changed the game. He's got probably upwards of 80 athletes set up, Daniel, in every sport. You can even get your engineering bell like my son has because he wants to be an engineer at Mississippi State. So go see the Bell Smith. Get it done.
I mean, you can't go wrong. I mean, the guy is just pumping out bells for anybody and everyone. I mean, if you're Mississippi State, probably get you a bell. I mean, you can't ring it inside, but if you go outside the track, you can let it rip.
and with that, Cameron, welcome to the show. Do they ring the bells at the track meets?
We try to include that, and if you got it, ring it. It helps.
Does it really?
It does help.
Okay.
All of them ringing together, pull you through that line.
I mean, I feel as though it could get distracting.
Nah. You'll be distracted by how hard you're breathing.
Let's Cameron, you no longer are there. You can be truthful. You don't have.
I keep my bells in my room. I got 3 also. So
you take them with you when you need a little extra.
Yeah,
little extra bump.
I ain't gonna lie to you. I got a whole rack because I have one for every athlete that has one on our show. And so LSU fan, and I have 27 bells. However, I didn't pull it over here to bring out. He did make us an LSU in off the bench bell, and he told me that would be the only time LSU colors would touch a bell. But a non-Mississippi State fan with 27 bells. You make it make sense.
That's why that doesn't make sense at all. You'll never see that anywhere else.
But my son, whenever we go to an event and, he ain't going to be able to take it to Alex Box tomorrow. We're actually going to LSU, Mississippi State. But when we go to Starkville, he picks random ones. And last year we were actually on the big screen. I couldn't see it because he was too busy ringing the bell in my face. But he had, ironically, he had a softball bell. He had Kenley Hawk, and he was ringing it in my face after a Dakota Jordan home run. So he gets the pick of the litter.
Well, Cameron, man, it's been some years since we've talked, and much like most adults, over the amount of time that we've gone since we've talked to you last, you could have gotten married, you could have had kids, you could have made an Olympic team, you could have graduated with a degree, you could have drove around the world 3 times, you could have even ran around the world 3 times. But I gotta ask, dude, it's been such a long time. What has life been like since we last talked to you?
Well, last time we talked, it was before the pandemic, or were we going through a pandemic?
Basically going through it, yeah.
We was going through it. So it was a weird year. That year we had to cancel our outdoor season, so we didn't get to run. So we had a whole year missed of training. We had trained so hard, but we didn't get to compete. So you had a lot of energy buildup, and it's been a few years of injuries and mental preparation to get to this point where I'm at now. I know the year after the pandemic, I came in, so that was my junior year, sophomore year, one of them, and I ended up having an injury that kept me out of indoor season for 2 months. So I missed that whole indoor season. And I came back and ended up making Olympic trials. And I get to Olympic trials and can't believe I made it. First of all, since I was already injured, I didn't expect to make it. And so I make it to Olympic trials, end up making finals at Olympic trials as a junior, sophomore, and get into finals. And I got on some tights that usually I wear underwear under my tights, but for some reason that day, I didn't wear underwear. So at Olympic trials, I end up jumping to the sand and my tights ripped in the sand. So they got me on screen and I'm like, hold on, I feel a draft. I look up, oh man.
Booty cheek just hanging out.
And so since it's Olympic trials, usually every store in Eugene is sold out of everything. My team manager tried to go find me some tights. Only tights she could find was extra large. I tried to put those on. They just fall straight down. I'm a small guy.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You're not gonna tell me you couldn't find a Nike pair of tights anywhere in
but he can't wear Nike. He's Adidas.
I mean, you better go get you some Nike tights that fit and black out that Nike chip.
Only ones you could find was USA ones, but they were sold out at the stadium just during the competition. So I don't have much time between finals and when it's time for me to jump. She had to do whatever she could, and I think
Phil Knight when you need him.
Daniel, this is like we learned in football and baseball and everything else. When you're supposed to wear a cup and you don't, wear your underwear. Don't break the rules.
Yeah, so now I keep an extra pair in my bag no matter what. And so I end up missing the team because after I split my tights, I had to put on my warm-up pants, and I was jumping in warm-up pants. So it's an excuse, but I don't want to make an excuse. So next year I end up
God had a different plan, and he
had a
the playing field was not even there. That would be like that'd be like letting somebody swim with flippers on. Like, come on, man. Like you had a built-in parachute pulling you down those pants.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Reason he was probably, no underwear made him be able to jump. He was cheating in the beginning. I figured this out.
Yeah, I guess I was trying to cheat, and God was like, no, don't do it the right way. And so next year I come in and having a great fall season. Then I end up having a hip injury, a real bad hip injury. It kept me out most of the season, and went medical red shirt and end up competing at the end of the year, or at the end of the track year, and end up making it to nationals after like one jump, and that was shocking. But to go to world trials, I didn't have enough meets to make world trials. But we tried to fight it and let them know I had medical reason I couldn't compete, but it just couldn't get pushed through. It went through all the boards and stuff. So I didn't make world trials.
I was watching, like I told you, I was watching the trials and seeing you and the other guys compete. And Daniel, I'll be honest, man, when they jump, the way they land, like, and maybe it's because I'm a heavier guy, but I just feel like ankles would snap, dude.
It's a bit technique to it. It's a lot of technique to it that not everybody can just go out there and jump. You'll end up breaking your knees, your ankles, your back, mostly your back.
I'm telling you, I was watching it thinking I would snap in half.
You wouldn't have to teach me any tech. I couldn't jump far enough to even hurt myself.
but Daniel,
it wouldn't even matter.
Daniel, the thing that
I might as well be taking a real long step.
Daniel, the thing that fascinated me the most though in this video was when they jump at that line and there's a camera. I watch guys who would literally perfectly bend their foot while they're running full speed, right? Like, so I don't know how. I understand they practice timing, but you'd have guys that would literally go a centimeter over and they jump one count, and then have guys that just perfectly, you couldn't go any further and then jump. And so that's a whole aspect of it beforehand, just timing that.
The timing of the jump is a lot to it, but you got to just trust your foot, and that will get a lot of people putting their foot down that where it's supposed to be put down, and your coach keep telling you, just put the foot down, keep running, don't slow up, all that, and go through the board. And you try to, but as a human, you gonna look down, or you gonna pull back, or you gonna, not put your foot down when you're supposed to.
Dude,
And
when you run, like, you practice a lot, and you probably practice on the same surface, I would imagine, pretty,
yeah,
most of the time. So when you go and you're now on a different surface and you're talking about stride rate and just going as fast as you can, like, does it feel different? Does it throw you off? Even though it's still the same material that you're running on, it's just a different
like
place.
it's different tracks. Like you got in the track world, you have fast tracks and you got okay tracks. Like, but you try to not think about it in your head. Like, still you gonna run. Still
Right.
you need to run, and you don't want that to affect how you perform. But some tracks are not as fast as others. So you try to keep out of your head and just execute your jumps and execute your runs, and try not to think about that as much. That's just like everybody else got to run on it. So it's just who's on it that day.
Yeah. What personally, I mean, you got all this training, like what are you doing in your personal life? Are you getting a chance to, like, just decompress from all, like, because it's a ton of training, and it's probably fun, but I'm sure there's a little bit of pressure that
He
goes
probably,
along with
got
that.
a regular work life now that he graduated from college.
I mean, that's what
I
I'm
do.
getting at.
I just got off
I
work.
want to I want to know if you're just
My
because you're
daily life
fast.
now.
I want to know that you're regular. You're somewhat human. So you go to a job, and, like, I just don't want to think you're a superhero and you just get up and run fast and jump far and stuff like that.
So my day-to-day life is pretty normal, really. It's really like I have two jobs now. Except, like, I don't have to wake up when everybody else wakes up. Like, I get to sleep in a little more than some people. But my day-to-day life, Mondays through Wednesdays, I'm up probably like 8:30. I gotta be at practice at least like by 9:30. It takes me like 20 minutes to get to practice. So get up, I go to practice for like 3 hours. Some days it'll drag on to 4. Get out of practice, come home and chill with Gracie and my dog for a while, and get ready for work by 2. And from 2 to 10 every day, I mean almost 4 times a week, I'm at work. So
Does
but
Gracie get to travel with you for these events?
if it's close enough, she'll go. But if I have to fly somewhere, I can't control that sometimes. Money.
Man, they
So,
gotta take her to China. I mean, what happens if you win this thing and she's not there?
but I already been to China, so so it's not on me. It's really on USATL. Like, it's like the timing of it, because I left last week on Sunday. I got there on Tuesday. So it's like I have an itinerary. I got to be places. And if I don't have enough time to plan something for her, it's just like,
Well, let
and
me
then
ask
she
you
got
this.
her own job too. So I got to let her know so she can take off her job for me. So it's a
Let me
lot
ask you
goes
this on
into
the
it.
flight thing, Daniel. We talk to athletes who are just flying in the country, right? And how does it affect, competing at different times, obviously flying. But for you, man, you're going across the world. Like, does the whole, time schedule, sleep schedule, jet lag, does all that play a factor?
You just don't understand. I got to China last Tuesday, and when I left here, it was daylight. When I got there, it was daylight, but it had been 16 hours. So I never got to see nighttime. And so I'm just sitting there, and for the first 3 days I was there, I was suffering because I didn't know when to sleep. I didn't know how to sleep. So I was tired for the first 3 days until I finally caught on to a schedule. But I was up there every day at 5 o'clock. I couldn't sleep past 5 o'clock in the morning because the time was so different. Because it was 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So my body was so used to being up at that time. I was just up every morning. Me and my roommate up every morning at 5 o'clock. So
Daniel, talk about, I don't like to do anything if I hadn't slept. I sure ain't gonna have peak performance competing. So shout out to you for getting it done, because that sounds exhausting listening to it.
Yeah, I got back a day and a half ago, 2 days ago, and yesterday I did not wake up until 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I went to sleep that night at probably like 2 or 3 because I couldn't go to sleep at first. I finally went to sleep and I didn't wake up till 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon. Never slept that long in my life, but I was so used to sleeping over there because I got used to the sleep schedule over there and my body wasn't used to it.
Man, this whole journey is just so cool to me. For those who, didn't listen to season 1, maybe weren't, following the show then, Cameron is from, Littletown, Mississippi. I watched him play football in, 1A, 2A, and obviously ridiculous on the football field, but had no clue at the time that you were going to, do what you did in track at Mississippi State, but then to be around the world. Like, that's a question I got for you, man. Like, your family's got to be super proud. Like, I mean, because let's be honest, where we are from, most people don't go up and do big things, internationally like that.
Yeah. And my brothers, my older brother and my younger brother and my whole family, they really tell me, like, no matter what, I need to keep doing what I'm doing and don't let nothing, distract you. Because, you don't see that a lot from where we're from. Like, there's not a lot of people make it as far as I've made it, but I don't think about it like that. I just feel like I'm just a normal kid from Sturhorn, and I can just go back home and just be like, hey, guys, like, but everybody else is like, man, you did so much. But I feel like I can do so much more. Mm-hmm. And I don't feel like I accomplished enough, which is crazy.
I think that mentality, though, is how you got to where you are, because you're not settling and you believe you can do more. But the reality is, I know most of the guys that you came up with, a lot of them didn't play college sports at all. And here you are, doing it in the Olympic stage. So,
yeah. And my mom, I remember calling her when I was in, when I made the team, and all she could do was cry, because she was like, over all these years, I've seen you, be hurt and be like, it been times that I just been want to like just give up, just be like, I'm done, like, because it be times this sport is so mentally draining sometimes when you're working hard and then like you got life aspects of bills and all this stuff. You're still growing up, but you're also have to compete on the highest stage and like in front of all these people that like look up to you, and you gotta keep going because you got people behind you like, hey, you gotta keep going. You gotta keep going. Don't give up on your dreams. But you're also like, man, I kind of want to stop. I want to start a family. I want to get my life, started also. So you have that aspect in the back of your head. You're like, oh man, I'm aging. I'm 25 now. Like, man, I got to start thinking about kids.
But at least you realize it, because me and Daniel talked to a lot of guys, specifically in baseball. They'll hang around the minor leagues and they'll keep having that dream of going pro. And, the reality is it's probably never going to happen. And they wait too long. We've had a couple guys that were smart, and they were like, you know what? We saw the writing on the wall and said exactly what you said. We want to start a family. Like, we're not trying to sit there and be on the road and in this grind. So the fact that you realize it, and I think you'll be able to identify when it's time.
Yeah. Yeah. I told myself like early on in this journey, like when I got into college and your first 2 years, we say it don't really count unless you like a prodigy. Like, it don't really count. You're really learning how to be a semi-pro athlete in track. And after those 2 years, you can really tell who's going to be like that it factor. And after those 2 years, when I hit my junior year, I ended up making nationals, All-American, all that. I sat down with my coaches, and they was like, you can really do something with your talent. And that I told myself I would give myself, if I'm healthy and if my body don't break down, I give myself to at least 35. At least 35. 35.
All right,
it's been a long time. But it's been 5 years.
You're a superior athlete, because Daniel, think about how we went downhill in our athleticism in the 30s. I mean, it's real.
Yeah, I give myself to 35, and if if God willing, if I can make it to 35, that's a great accomplishment for me, and I'll be happy. And like I said, I always have those times where you're down and you wanna stop, and but as we can see, it doesn't work like that for me, and I'm still going up, and I just gotta thank God for that. I can't. It's a shocking to me too. If I sit down and just think about it, I really just sit there and be like, "Wow, that's crazy."
Let me ask you this. Look, Cameron, all the athleticism and athletic feats, all that stuff is great, but when your family looks back and they're like, you have a college degree, like
Yeah.
what does that mean?
Well, we call it a generational thing. Like usually, if like one person in your immediate family goes to college, it helps the next generation look on to like being better. It's usually if you got a degree, that means they'll go and get a master's degree or a doctorate, and after that, and I was lucky enough to be able to come out of high school and go to a 4-year university on a scholarship, a D1 scholarship, and be able to get my school paid for, and for my parents, and didn't have to worry about that, and it's a big blessing. My mom got my degree, and she has it hanging up in the room and all that, and my dad is very proud of me for sticking through it, because being a student athlete, I know we're sometimes spoiled. It when it gets to the real world, we understand a lot more that we were spoiled, because we had a lot of stuff a little bit handed to us in college. Being a D1 athlete, people like always was there. You had a question, it gets answered like that. You needed help, it's like that. And so but it also mentally prepares you, because you had so much on your plate in college. Because wake up at 5, be at practice, be at class. Okay, get out of class, go right to practice, get out of class, go to tutoring. So it really helped also, because it helped you learn how to keep a schedule, really, and be on a schedule, and not once you catch your schedule, you were good.
To me, it's like your life on a day-to-day basis right now, you're able to do that because you had that same grind. You're going from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. And you're not necessarily the fact that you're able to maneuver the schedule, but you're able to maneuver the schedule, balance the whole life, the personal things, but also when you have the ups, you stay on it. And when you have the downs, you're able to pull yourself out of it. And I think that's a great preparation of what college does for you in regards to how is it going to translate into life after college. Is being able to pull yourself up when things are down, because not everything's going to be great.
Nah, not at all. And I mess with my mom and dad and my aunt a lot, because in high school, I always wanted a job. I always wanted to try to do a job. Get a job. But when I was in high school, if I went and applied for a job and they saw who I was, it was like, nah, you're not going to be here. And I tell my mom and dad, and they'd be like, you don't need a job. You got too much on your plate. And I'm like, what? Like, come on, I can have a job. No, you can't. My aunt, no, you can't. You don't need a job. And so I didn't end up having to get a job until I got out of college, which is crazy. And when I was when I go to interview, when I was going to interviews, and it was like, "What's your job experience?" I'd be like, "This is my first job." I don't know.
You give them a blank sheet of paper.
Right here. Hey, I was an SEC athlete and I was a D1 athlete, so I can stay on schedule. And hard worker.
It's meaningful though, because you have the academic, you have the degree. You have had the work ethic of athletics. You're somebody clearly who hasn't gotten any trouble. Like, to me, there's somebody I would want to hire, because I know that you're going to bring max effort to the table, even if you don't have the job experience. Did you say what the degree was in? Did I miss that?
I never said. I got a degree in psychology. So.
Oh, Daniel, he can get a job. Look, I always need help. Look, mental health. I'm just saying. So no, that's what's up, Daniel. He got a massive fallback. Like, he's talking about doing this till 35, but if he changes his mind, that's a degree that's always going to be able to be used. I joke about needing help, but I mean everybody does. So that's nice. I'm glad to hear that, Daniel. I thought maybe he was going to say, a lot of the athletes, it's always like physical therapy, right? It's always the same. But I would ask, staying on the sports thing, would you ever consider like wanting to coach or anything, or is that something?
Back when I was in high school, all the teachers used to ask me what I was going to be. It's like, you'll be a great coach. You'll be a great mentor to young kids, or, you'll be great at what you do because you're so, you can teach. And I'm like, no, I've ran from it all my life. Like, I don't want to be a coach because this is like, it's like, that's why I need to be, but I don't want to be because it's like a stereotype. Like, because I've been around the sport so long. But, having a fifth year in college really helped me because once you have a fifth year and be outside of, out the team, you're the oldest one on the team, first of all. So you got freshmen coming in. And so your coach always need help, and you have been around for all these years, so he's not finna pay attention to you like that because
that's what Daniel explained to me in baseball.
Yes.
Like, I said, why are some of these guys like? Why do they keep them around for too long, knowing they're not going to make it up? And he's like, because they're grooming them to be a coach. There's somebody they like having in the system, and if there's somebody they like having around, you just keep teaching them, mold them until you can make them the coach you want to be. So I actually learned that.
And it's actually becoming more clear to me that I probably fall into coaching somehow. And because I do love what I do. I love being around the sport, any sport really. I just like athletics, football, basketball, all that, except tennis. I can't do tennis. Oh man.
Well, let me ask you this, because it's the important information we need to know. You talked to me before the episode, and Daniel, about you just finished the indoor, correct? Is what you said. All right. So when is the outdoor, and are you already like training for it, or are you taking a break right now?
Well, I took a 2-day break. It's back to it tomorrow. So
2 days, not 2 weeks, but 2 days.
No, 2 days. That's all you get. Like from indoor to outdoor, that's just okay. You just did this whole indoor season. Indoor season is not really it's really a training block for pros. Okay. It's a training block. See where you at. See what happened in fall training. See how much stuff you've been doing to trial, and you're very heavy still. So all the weights and all that is still on your body because you're still lifting heavy weights. You're still doing heavy training right now. So you still got all that on your body. So it's like preseason for football. It's not really, really, I don't know how to explain it. But outdoor has started. A lot of people have started their season like this week. So while I was in China, a lot of people opened up outdoors. And you got meets probably every weekend now. So I opened up probably.
I challenge you while he's talking about the whole lifting and the muscle aspect. Let me tell you, I challenge you. It's one of those things that, we talk about it. You watch basketball players, for instance, because you're not like a massive football player, right?
Yeah.
Where it's obvious. But you can look at like somebody like Kobe, for instance. You can see when he came in the league and he didn't have very much muscle, and you don't really notice it. But then you put pictures side by side, and you're like, okay, he was actually pretty jacked.
Yeah.
And anyway, I say that because I put your pictures side by side from when we had you on originally to now, and you can definitely tell you've been killing it in the weight room. Like I said, it doesn't stand out as much because it's not like you're a big linebacker.
Yeah.
But you probably put 15, 20 pounds of muscle on in like the last few years?
So since 2020, I think I was like 160, 163. I'm like 178 now. So yeah. And my competition weight fluctuates. And my competition weight, I like to be like 173, 172. I cut a lot. But like when I'm just training right now, heavy, I'll be 180, 178. It fluctuates every week because we run and we lift weights, run and lift weights. So everything just turning to lean muscle. So you don't want to be too heavy, especially because I'm a jumper. I'm not.
What do you eat? if you're training for 4 hours a day, like I feel like you got to be eating for 4. Like,
It's crazy how much that question comes up to like track athletes. Like, what do y'all eat if you're training that much and
I mean,
you're
if you
running
got to
that
jump,
much?
like I do feel like you need to be as light as possible, but also like you can't train for 4 hours on nothing.
Let me tell you this: if you're if you have been eating a type of way for this long as an athlete, and your body is responding to it, don't switch your diet fast. If you're gonna switch your diet, ease it out. Because if you don't ease it out, you're gonna end up hurting yourself, and because your body's gonna get so used to that sugar intake, all of that, and that's what it's fueling itself on. And then you just suddenly switch.
I've had the MMA guys
Yeah.
tell me that. That's why they've gotten really sick after their fight because they
Yes.
overdid it when they came off.
Mm-hmm. And so usually fall is when you just really don't care. You die every day. Just know you're gonna die every day at practice. So if you're gonna die every day at practice, then you might as well eat what you want. Like, so
Daniel, he's not inspiring the young people. That he's telling you it's gonna be more work than you want.
This fall training. So we're not running, but when we get into season like indoor, you still kind of eating a little more heavier, but outdoor you really start to try to cut out on the sweets and all the things, big thing I've started doing like when it's getting to the season is I eat a lot of tuna and a lot of cucumbers and like stuff for hydration, watermelon and all that, and I try to it keeps me from eating a lot of sweets, because with the watermelon and fruit it's going to stop you from eating like candy. But a lot of track athletes eat candy while we're at the meets. Like if you ask every track athlete, what do you eat before you go out there and run or like throughout the day, they're going to say some form of candy, because it's just like a quick sugar rush, like right there. So, but it's not a lot really during the season. You try not to eat a lot of heavy things, but usually on the weekends you still pig out because you have 5 days of intense just killing your body, so your body be needing some of that sometimes. Like on Saturdays you sit there, you die, and right after practice you be like, well, finna go get me a ice cream shake for a fat. I need it. I don't care. Yeah. And like your coach will tell you, yes, just don't try to kill your body. Don't do that. Just if you want a sweet treat, go get your sweet treat. Because if you don't, you're gonna end up overdoing it once you do get it. So
Daniel, let me ask you: you did that marathon. The way he's talking about coming off the way you ate, was it the same way? Like you had to slowly come off?
Honestly, after the marathon, really the focus is hydration. Once you're hydrated, you've been depleted so much that once you feel like you're getting yourself back hydrated, like you're not even hungry. Like I wasn't hungry. It was just so weird.
My head coach from Mississippi State, he did a marathon. He just up and decided to do it. He didn't train for it. He said, if you're going to do it, just don't do it. Just go do it. Don't think about it. Just go do it. And I was like, you really just went out there and just did. He was like, yeah. He said, I had a beer and everything the night before. Like, hey.
No, see, I put in some hard work training for this thing, and this was before COVID, and I had a marathon scheduled to run, and it got canceled for COVID, and I was like, well, I did all this training for nothing. I said no. So I mapped out a run in Tampa, and I just went out and did it one day.
That was me when I got hurt my junior year. I had all this and then ended up going to Worlds, and I started working out like crazy, like because I had all this energy build up from training and I didn't get to use it. So that summer I got up to like almost 190 pounds, just straight muscle. And I came back for fall training, and I walked in and my coach said, what's wrong with you? Also, I had too much energy. I'm sorry. Like, he was like, I understand. That was the hardest training I ever went through, though, because I was so heavy. I've never been that heavy in my life.
So
You paid for it.
I got to tell you something funny before we let you off here. That wasn't something I planned on telling you, but Blake Wallace was texting me. So I just had shoulder surgery, Cameron, and before I had it, I'm supposed to be in a sling. I'm not supposed to be doing anything. And I'm over there with Ryan and Blake and Justin Stovall, and they know how to get me, right? They're like, oh, he's too old to play basketball. He's using the shoulder as an excuse. And next thing you know, I'm dropping Ryan off from the 3-point line. And I'm like, look what you're going to do. But unfortunately, Blake can still hoop.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, me or Justin couldn't hold Blake. So I ended up bent over, trying not to throw up, dying, arm hurting and everything, trying to beat guys I had no business playing basketball with. And Blake got the dub, and he's been throwing it in my face ever since. But I gave it one more go before surgery. Now I do have the excuse I can't play, but I found out real quick my athleticism just ain't there no more, Cameron.
It's not there no more, you know. And I think about that all the time. I'm like, what's my life going to be in the next 10 years? You know, like, with my athletic, I don't want to think about it too much, because once I start depleting, I'm gonna be like, "What the world?" I
think it'll still be there, because Blake's not even doing any of that stuff, and he was still going up there, and he almost was able to still dunk the basketball, and he's not even putting in near the work you are. So I mean, I think you'll still be able to have. I mean, Daniel still we're 40, but Daniel, because of his workout regimen, I mean, he's still athletic. I think it's just me because I stopped doing cardio and it's just
straight lift weights. Yeah, that'll get you. That will get you.
Well, how can we, obviously there's social media, but is there like a way we can keep track of when these events are? And, will we be able to watch?
Yeah. I would get a schedule. I'll get my agent to put a schedule together. And I most likely I'll drop this schedule just for everybody to know when I'll be running and where I'll be running. And most of the places I'll be running, you'll probably be able to stream it somewhere, or like look it up and stream it. So when I drop this schedule, you should see it on my social media.
Yeah, because like I said, I watched the qualifier earlier on YouTube, and it's pretty fascinating when you watch 8 of the best go against each other, and they're like we were talking about, little margin for error, and everything matters from the wind to where you jump. You have an appreciation for it. People may think it's just simply running and jumping, but it's way more than that.
So much more technique to it. It's if you want to go out there and hurt yourself, go do it. But by all means, I'll let you do it, and just so you can come back to me and be like, I'm sorry. I will let you go out there.
Well, Daniel, we got to tune in, man. We do a lot of baseball and gymnastics lately. Obviously, we're always going to be into football and basketball, but I like to mix it up. And, man, I always just appreciate athletes at their finest.
Oh, definitely. And this is – Cameron, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You're one of the most athletic people that have ever been on this show.
Thank you for that.
I mean, it's because there, when you talk about like what sports harness the most athletic people, and a lot of people gravitate to basketball, just the running and the moving, and the angles and the jumping, but you do all of that too. Like,
we train to do all of that like every day. And I got a little story before I go. We the backup quarterback for Mississippi State ended up running track for us my last year, and so he was a football player and a track athlete. And he said, I ran track in high school. It shouldn't be no different. Right. The first week he came out there, we were just doing our warm up, and he was like, "There was a workout, right?" Nah, that's just warming our bodies up. What you mean? Well, we got to do some more drilling, and then we'll get into the workout. And he's like, what? What are you talking about? And I'm like, yeah, this is just to warm our body up, just to do what we have to do. Because if we don't warm up like this, and we try to go out there and do what we have to do, we're going to hurt ourselves. And he did that whole week of training. He came back the next week. He was off for like 2 days because he was like, my body won't respond. And he was like, I got a new respect for track athletes because y'all the most athletic people I ever seen. Like, how do y'all do this every day? And I'm like, you get used to it. You get used to your body feeling like how it is. And when people don't respect track, I just be like, y'all just don't understand. I got to do this every day, and I come home and just be like, I ain't do nothing today.
Let me ask you this, because this is like in other sports, it's kind of different because there's there's I don't know, it's just different for me to like grasp this. When you get to a meet or an event, do you have a feeling like do you like go in and go, I feel better today than I've ever felt, or I feel so good, or I don't feel as good today? Like is that
that's what practice and all. Like some days you're just gonna be out there like, whoo, I don't know what I ate. I don't know what I drunk, but I feel good. And then some days you're gonna be there and you're gonna be like, Coach, I don't know if I'm gonna make these times today. So can you like help me a little bit? And when you get to the really what they teach you in track is practice should be the hardest thing about track. When you get to your event, it's really just a one and done, really, because you just got one rep. Unless you got multiple events, but you got one rep. So you can put your all into one rep, or you can go out there and act like you got another rep and now you're pulling back. And so that's the mental part of track. It's like a lot of people don't think about it that way, but that's all it is. It's like I've been practicing doing this every day, but they get to the meet and act like they have to do multiple reps of one thing, but all they got to do is one time, all out.
right?
And so that's a big part of track. Like I tell people all the time, track is 90% mental, 10% physical.
Well, Daniel, he can tell you it's 90% mental, but let me tell you something. I just did the math on and how far he's jumped. And let me tell you about physical. 28 1/3 feet, Daniel, is how far he's jumped, because obviously they're in meters. Bro, can you imagine jumping over 28 feet? That's crazy.
No.
Yeah, I don't try to. I shock myself sometimes because I be like, that's a far distance. And then, you measure it and you like, oh, that's only 25 feet. I can jump that on with my eyes closed. Like,
I mean, Daniel, I do this in perspective, right? Like, so I ran a pool business for a long time, Cameron, and typically the long pools are 30 to 40 feet long. Like, you can jump the length of a swimming pool. That's crazy.
Yeah. It's wild to me. It went, especially if I had a ruler beside me and I start stretching it out, and like through my apartment. If like I'm in my back room right now, and
You could jump all the way to the toilet.
I can jump all the way to my front door almost.
Well, what's funny? Hey, but you feel that way? What's funny is, so we had the girl from Campbell Track. She's now with UNC Wilmington. But my
little brother go to Campbell, which is crazy. He played football there now.
I'm actually blanking on her name on something, but anyway, she had set the record for pole vaulting.
Yeah,
and she made it sound like it wasn't a big deal and it wasn't that high, and it was meters as well. And then I did it, and I was like, man, I would be scared as crap coming down on a mat or not. She's coming down from like 30 feet high.
Yeah, 30 feet in the air. Like,
yeah, that first time I would go up, I'd freak. I would just jump off the pole. Forget this.
Yeah, my coach, my freshman year asked me. He was like, "You're real athletic, Cam. You ever thought about doing more times?" I said, "Nope." And he was like, "Why?" I said, "Pole vault. I would never do it in my life. I don't care how much. I just take 0 points."
Well, she didn't plan on doing it. The reason was she actually had done gymnastics growing up. So they thought it was something she could do. And clearly they were right, because she ended up being a natural. And I mean, I guess that's meaningful because, obviously the athleticism that comes in gymnastics, but obviously the bending over the pole.
I got a question for you.
Lakeland Bass. I was sitting there trying to think of her name. I was blanking, but yeah, she left Campbell to go to UNC Wilmington because, she did as much as she could at Campbell, set all the records, and it was time to go compete on a higher level before her college career ended.
So I got a really crazy question. So
yeah,
you are in the track realm, and I'm sure that you are able to, train and get to know a lot of different people who do a lot of different track events. Why? Tell me, like steeplechase. You heard of that?
Nope. Anything with hurdles, got to jump over anything.
Why
Anything
are we
that goes
jumping
high
in?
the air,
Why are we jumping in water?
I would
Like,
never understand it.
Help me
Never.
understand that.
I asked my coach every time I watched the event. If he was by me, I was like, I just don't get it. Why you gotta jump over there and then drop in the water? And what the water is to help you from hurting yourself. Like
Help you get blisters?
like, it's literally there to break your fall. And like you want to get just a little bit of water. Like you think you want to jump over the water as much as you can. You want to get the water just a little bit so it can like impact your steps, so you won't hurt your ankles and stuff. I'm like, I don't get it. I forget about the event most of the time. It's a crazy event. I like to watch it because I'm like, ooh, oh.
So I guess my point being, it's all right for you to go out there and just jump in sand. They can't. Why don't they just put water there?
I wouldn't do it. I probably wouldn't do it then. Because just imagine running and jumping in water and have to get back out and then go do it all over again. I mean, some people are probably drowning a little bit.
Daniel, I would challenge you with something. Daniel, I would challenge you with something you probably didn't think about. So if you watch the way they land, if you were to slap water, there's a certain thing that us men carry that might not feel nice slapping it. I'm just saying.
I mean,
also, how would they be able to mark it?
I don't know. I'm not thinking that far. I'm not thinking that far. I'm just thinking.
You won't be able to mark water because it'll just go back to how it was.
Daniel's just trying to figure out why, like, he's wrapping his head around it all.
I've always wondered that, and I've never had like somebody that was in the realm that I could ask that might know the answer.
Well, Daniel
clearly there is no answer.
If you decided to go in depth, you know what you ought to do? You ought to hit them with the hypothetical that you hit people with.
All right, let me hit you with something before we let you get out of here. I know it's late. We've been rapping a lot. So, all right, let's say you come across a book. You start reading this book and you realize this book is the story of your life from the day you were born all the way up until today. You're doing a podcast with us. Do you continue to read the book past present day to find out how your life ends, or do you stop reading that book?
Let me tell you this. I probably won't even get to this point right now. I'll probably fall asleep.
That's the first time we've ever got that. I love that. Bored with his own life.
It probably get boring because I'd be like, I already read this. Like, why am I reading this already?
It's like, why I want to read about practice. I already got to do practice.
I already got to do this. So.
He said, I ain't reading nothing.
Well, you know what? Throw him a curveball, and if he did finish reading it.
All right. Well, what if you got to present day in this book, and there was only like 3 pages left? Let's say you read 200, 300, 400 pages to get you up to present day, but then once you got to present day, there's only like 3 pages left. What do you do then?
If you read the Bible, have you ever seen Psalms in the Bible?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Take about a month to read those 2 pages. So, you know, you don't know what might be on them 2 pages. It probably
that's very true. That's very
true. Forever to read those 2 pages.
The Bible can hit you with some years in a couple pages.
Yeah, like it takes a long time to read a few pages. So it might take you 10, 12 years just to read 2 pages, you know.
I mean,
I do got a psychology degree, so
there you go.
So I think outside of the box when people ask questions.
Nice. Well, Cameron, man, we appreciate you coming on. We obviously wish you nothing but the best. If there's anything we could do for you, man, just reach out to us.
I love this. You know, coming back after 5 years to update y'all, that was just like, that's a blessing for me, like to be able to continue to, you know, keep doing this for y'all to, you know, have to ask me what's going on now in my life. So
I mean,
that's Daniel, a real blessing.
outside of Austin Riley, who's playing MLB, if you look back at the first season guests, none of them are still going. He's outlasted the field.
Yeah.
I mean,
And that's a big blessing. That's a huge blessing, you know.
Well, clearly he's going to outlast everybody because he's like 35. I'm going till then for sure.
I've been saying we got for a while.
We got him in Austin. We got guys setting records and heading over to China, and we got a guy winning the World Series. Like, I mean, they're the cream of the crop that got us started.
Cameron, anything you want to plug or promote?
Not nothing I can think of right now. Call me back next week.
I got you. All right, Cameron. Hey, man, go get you some sleep. Go get you some rest because we know you got more busy days ahead of you.
Yes, I do.
Continue that grind, brother.
Yeah, thank y'all for having me.
Absolutely. That's Cameron Crump, everybody. If you like hearing Cameron's story or you just like hearing us average Joes talk X's and O's, please share the podcast on Facebook. Head over to YouTube. Do 3 things: like, subscribe, notifications. That way you are one of the first to know when new content is dropped because we're dropping it every single day. Had a great week. Got another good one next week. So y'all stick around, be there with us, and we'll take you through another good week of solid athletes, solid guests. Y'all have fun this weekend. As always, remember, strong body, sharp minds, grit and grind all the time. We're out.